My significant other of 5 years cheated on me. He paid for sex work multiple times. On the menu today at Sarah's Soju Cafe is English breakfast tea, so grab your mugs and let's have an advice column. Guys, we have a full house today.
Today, we present to you another character in the world of Soju with Sarah. We have medium-sized Ryan. We picked him up in Korea on our trip recently. For some reason, we have this tradition now of always getting a cacao plushie from the cacao store.
Specifically the Ryan plushie.
The Ryan plushie. We were wanting to find another version of this big guy, but we couldn't find him. So we went for this guy.
Yeah, he's actually a keyboard supporter.
He's a keyboard supporter.
Keyboard support.
Is that a political thing? we have a smaller Ryan in our bedroom, so we rounded out the trio with a medium-sized Ryan. Anyways, everyone say welcome, medium-sized Ryan.
Welcome, medium-sized Ryan. Woo! Should we get started with the episode?
Yes, let's get started. Oh, one big word of advice. Don't eat the Korean convenience store corn dogs that you see if they've been sitting out all day, because I think I got food poisoning from that. And so just learn from my mistake, and that is all.
James had a rough time the last 2 days that we were in Asia, which we just got back from a week ago. And last week's episode I actually filmed right after getting back, but now we are fully over our jet lag. But we were in Korea for 3 weeks. James got food poisoning the last 3 days, and those were the only days that we had for ourselves to enjoy the trip, because most of the trip was actually for friends, family, and other shenanigans, wedding stuff. It was just a really long trip, and I was looking forward to the last couple of days, and then
because we were free of any obligations, and then I had that fateful corn dog.
Yeah. Well, you don't know if it's the corn dog or if it was something else. We ate so much food.
That's true. I just assumed it was. It tasted great though.
That was also a day that we filmed a Korean convenience store 24-hour challenge. So you ate like...
Yeah, that video is not out yet though, I guess. But
you ate so much stuff. So it could have been anything. It could have been those like 5
ramen
bowls. I had to eat
because someone else barely was eating. You couldn't waste it all. Medium-sized Ryan. That's right. Anyways, we're back in the States and I'm all better. And yeah.
I'm not though.
You're not better? Why?
I had a whole rash last week for no reason.
Oh, you got a rash on your face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
did that happen?
Well, a little fun story is I think it was just acne. I had an acne flare-up because...
That's a fun story. Wow,
yeah,
acne.
It's fun for me. Actually, the opposite of fun, very depressing to have to wake up to a whole rash.
Well, God had to humble you because last week you were like, my skin looks so good after you got some skin treatments done.
Yep.
And then what happened?
I just used a cleanser. Apparently, it causes fungal acne if you are prone to having fungal acne. Fungal acne sounds grosser than it actually is, but it's just an overgrowth of like yeast that everyone has in their skin.
That made it sound even grosser.
Okay. What?
Everyone has yeast in their skin.
Okay. All that I learned from this whole series of events and running around trying to get medication for my skin is Head and Shoulders works wonders on fungal acne. And if you just use it once on your skin and you're having a flare up, it calms everything down. So my skin looks much better today, but it might still be a little bit bumpy from the acne.
Head and Shoulders.
Head and Shoulders.
Great cure. Maybe they should rename it Head and Shoulders and sometimes Face.
That's actually a good one.
Was it? I think that was pretty bad actually. Well, should we introduce the drink of the day?
Yes. Today we're drinking English breakfast tea.
Or black tea.
Is English breakfast tea black tea?
I think it is, right?
It's also a little late, so we might not drink that much.
We must apologize. I feel like we've been pretty lackluster with the drink selection recently. I will say the episode we filmed in Korea was a little bit of a funner one just because we did get more tipsy.
Yeah.
But for this one, we're being healthier
tipsy.
And we're just drinking English breakfast tea at night.
We are getting caffeinated from this one.
Yeah, this does have some caffeine in it.
You are just smushing Ryan.
He's in my way.
You're in his way. Okay, anyways, today we are doing another life advice column. Woo. It's been a while. I think at some point we unofficially decided we were going to do it every single month, and somehow that has also slipped off of our radar. But we're back with another life advice column.
Yes, I know you guys have been just pausing all your life decisions until we do another life advice video, so you guys can make your decisions now.
Pause no more. Life can continue
Pause no more. says not moosey. One other thing, viewers out there, you guys better count your days because this podcast is coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
Do
Should
you want
I
to talk about it
announce
more?
it? Yeah.
I feel like you should tease it, right? You should
Alright.
announce it
Well,
ahead
this
of
is
time.
not really a teaser, but good news and bad news, maybe? No, bad news and good news.
Just news.
It's just news. We will be ending this podcast, season 1, in 5 episodes. This is episode 45, which is crazy if you guys think about how many episodes we've done and how long we've known you guys. That's 45 weeks of knowing someone. That's practically like marriage.
Yeah.
But we will be ending this podcast for the first season. I think it's actually been a little bit longer than we expected, just because I wanted to end the season at episode 30, actually. And then I just kept it rolling.
You just wanted to talk that badly, huh?
No, not really.
What is the reason for wanting to do an end of season and then a new one later?
Well, we're gonna unveil a little bit of the behind the scenes, but it's just been pretty hard to keep up every single week. We've done so many episodes on this podcast. I originally planned to end the season a little bit earlier, but every single week I've wanted to connect with you guys, and that's like a big pillar of our community, is just each other, like the community around Soju with Sarah. And so I have not had the guts to end the season, but I think every single week I'm realizing that there's less for me to say because I do share a lot of what I'm going through in life. I think I've said a lot of what I wanted to say for at least this period of my life. Do not worry though, because we will come back with season 2 very shortly after. I just wanted to take maybe a little bit of time to recalibrate and think about what's coming up for me and what are some new things that I'm gonna be navigating in my life and share that with you guys in the coming season. But TLDR, I think with podcasting and weekly posting, it is very difficult to always have something to say or like something that I've thought through very well. And a charm of when we first started the podcast was I felt like a lot of things I had sat on for a really long time before I shared it with people. And because of the weekly cadence, I feel like I've been sharing a lot of things without thoroughly like processing it myself. And so, yeah, a little bit of a bittersweet moment. James had no say in this.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it going to episode 1000.
You know, you can keep it going until episode 1000.
No, I'm just kidding. I just do whatever she says. She's the boss.
You know, in place of this though, maybe I can leave for the season, but you can just keep it going. It'll be season 1.5.
Soju with
hosted
James.
by James.
Yeah. Call her daddy, but just me. I take the podcast.
Call her James.
I know some people have suggested that we do guests and, it's different suggestions for how to like keep the podcast fresh with different perspectives and opinions and things like that, which is obviously something we have been considering and different ways to keep the podcast great for you guys and with like fresh new content that is valuable and helpful to everyone's lives while also maintaining kind of like the tone of the podcast that we feel like we've cultivated with you guys. So yeah, I think these are all things that Sarah is going to think about in that little break period between season 1 and season 2. And
as always, I am constantly trying to improve and grow as a person, and that goes for my podcast as well. So I want season 2 to be even better than season 1. We are just a one-woman show, plus Ari, our editor. But hopefully, as we grow the podcast and...
My chopped liver?
Oh, sorry.
You're a one-woman show plus Ari.
Sorry. One-woman show.
What am I then?
Plus Ari,
and
plus
what is Moose?
James, plus producer Moose. So I guess we're a 4-woman show.
Nice save there.
But yeah, I do want the podcast to be better for season 2. And I also want to engage more. I feel like season 1, I've been swimming through all the ins and outs of learning how to do a podcast and then also balancing my work and balancing my main YouTube channel. And so I haven't had a really great chance to connect with you guys the way that I did when the podcast first started. I really want to make it a priority to respond to comments more, to engage more on our Instagram, which you guys should go follow, but just to be more present with you guys because I feel like I've kind of taken a step back for various reasons that are out of my control. But I want to pick that back up for season 2. Yeah. Also, on that note, if you guys want to give this episode a like, give us a subscribe, turn on bell notifications to get reminders for the last 5 episodes that we have coming your way, please do.
And leave us a review on Spotify.
Oh,
and
yeah. We
Apple
stopped asking people
Podcasts.
to do that. Yeah. Anyway, shall we get into today's episode?
Let's give some life advice.
Woo!
Life advice.
Life advice. The first question is from an anonymous source. Could you guys talk about cheating? Can cheating ever be forgiven, and can a relationship be repaired afterwards? My significant other of 5 years cheated on me. It was purely physical. To be blunt, he paid for sex work multiple times. When I found out and confronted him, he said he is completely satisfied with our relationship emotionally and physically, that there's nothing wrong in our relationship that makes him unhappy, and that he was purely just horny. We're still together now, but sometimes I just get this icky feeling of deep betrayal. If there's nothing wrong with us, how could he do that? I haven't talked to many people about this because I'm embarrassed and scared of judgment. I always enjoy your guys' perspectives and insights on the podcast and would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
So her boyfriend of 5 years paid for sex work multiple times. She found out, and they're still together.
What are your thoughts on this?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah.
She mentioned she gets like this icky feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I would feel pretty icked out if I knew my partner paid for sex work multiple times.
Yeah.
And it feels like the way she's describing it is kind of like what he probably told her, which is like, it's purely physical. And there's nothing wrong with us. I'm very fulfilled by our relationship. It was just like, I just wanted to fulfill some physical desire or whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like exactly what a guy would tell her, and maybe not what they've like honestly worked out together necessarily. But I don't know. What do you think? Those are my initial thoughts.
Well, first of all, what the hell? Sorry. As a woman, if I found out that my partner was paying for sex work and they're telling me it was purely physical, I would be like, what the F? Like, why would you be doing this then if you're satisfied? I just think, I don't know, maybe I'm overly critical nowadays, but if the cards don't line up, then I would be questioning it more,
What do you mean?
Like, if you told me one thing, but then you went and did something that kind of is contradictory to it,
is it contradictory? Because all he said is like the relationship is great otherwise outside of the physical stuff, I guess, and he just wanted to like fulfill
No. He said he's satisfied physically
He
and
said that too.
mentally. Wait, let me just confirm. He said he is completely satisfied with our relationship emotionally and physically, that there's nothing wrong in our relationship to make him unhappy, and he was just purely horny. Could he not have just kept it in his pants? I'm so sorry. I just feel,
I think to go to the length of paying for sex work is like insane. And I think not only would I be icked out, I don't think I could tolerate that personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's ever forgivable? That's like the question that she asked. Or he. I don't know. It's anonymous.
I hesitate to say it's forgivable. Like anything could be forgivable, right? Not anything.
In general.
Yeah. But like I guess maybe it could depend on context. But in this case, like not really. For me, it would not be forgivable, I think. I would just feel like I kind of just don't know the person a little bit. Like, I thought, why would you do that? Why did you do this behind my back? He did it multiple times. I think there's a level of like deceit and hiding a lot of stuff that I don't think I could like trust after that. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm the same, just because of the situation and the way that it's described. Maybe there's something else we don't know, but I just think my trust in someone would be broken, and I think I would think about it for years, if not forever, as long as I'm in a relationship with that person. Because if they've betrayed me in this way and they don't see what's wrong with it, then in the future, if something else happens and maybe there's other people involved, or like family or kids involved, where more betrayal happens and like I'm just questioning my partner all the time and my trust in them falters, I don't think I would ever forgive them,
Yeah, I agree. I think I've probably mentioned this before, just because it was always so mind-blowing to me when I heard it or saw this on TikTok. All these street interviews of Japanese people.
Yeah.
And it turns out like a large percentage of Japanese people think it's actually fine for someone in a relationship to pay for sex work. So like that's the only counterpoint that I can think of, where like culturally, like in somewhere like Japan, they apparently think it's okay. It's like a purely transactional physical thing and it's fine. But like, I don't know. I don't think the majority of the world thinks that way either. And I just don't think it's a forgivable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, maybe culturally the guy is that's like the
I don't know.
only
I
I
wouldn't give him
can't
that benefit of the doubt.
yeah.
It's just like the only counterpoint I could ever even think of, but I just don't think that's very valid here.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put myself into the shoes of someone that's been cheated on through like sex work. If I've been with that person for 7 years, let's say like it's us, like 7 years. 7 years is a long time and I feel like I know you very deeply. I think that would just change my perception of you completely. Like I just would be just like you said, like asking myself, who is he and why would he do that? I think the other thing is that they asked if the relationship can be repaired afterwards. Do you think a relationship can bounce back from cheating? Maybe not this situation, but just cheating in general. This is
Me
a tough
having
question.
literally no experience with this, with whether it's friends or our relationship or anything, like
Friend cheating?
or like a friend's
Oh,
relationship.
oh, oh, oh.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
going to
yeah.
say,
No, no,
which
no.
friend has cheated on you?
I am in no way qualified to answer this, but if I had to speculate, I feel like my only point of reference is like movies and like random things that I've maybe read online. I think in some cases, yeah, it is like salvageable. Only if the couple takes it as a sign or like a catalyst for them to like really openly work through difficulties that they have or challenges that they face in their relationship together that they weren't open about before. However, I feel like that's pretty rare that couples are not one willing to do that and two, well, one, the spouse is willing to work through it, and then two, like the partner is also willing to be open about all their issues and work through it.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty rare for that to happen though. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it can be repaired if there are external things that matter more. And like some people who experience cheating also have kids. So they have to factor that into the situation where it's kind of more feels more necessary and mandatory to work through cheating and things like that, or your finances or your businesses are entangled, like situations like that. I feel like you're more forced to do that. But from a choice perspective, easier said than done, but I don't think I would stand by someone cheating on me multiple times. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Whoever sent that in.
We're so sorry.
That sucks.
It's so hard to make judgment on other people's relationships though, just because we don't know like who exactly.
Thankfully this one's a little more cut and dry. It's like, well, clearly
true.
their partner was very in the wrong.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, we can't really, it's hard to give you advice on what to do, but I would say for us, it seems like it would be hard to forgive someone in that scenario. Yeah.
This next question is from Anxious Brit. Do you think her name is Brit or do you think she's British?
I think she's both.
She's an anxious Brit
British
whose name
Brit.
is Brittany.
Exactly.
Brit, please let us know if you are actually British.
Oh wait, I think she is British, right?
Yeah, maybe her name isn't even Brit.
I don't think it is. No,
She's just an anxious
I'm pretty
Brit.
sure she's just saying I'm from Britain.
She's an anxious British person.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're having your tea today. English breakfast tea.
In honor of Anxious Brit. We need to bring back the anxious keyword more. Anxious slab of butter.
Anxious Brit.
This one's, I guess, for me. James is actually reading it because we're equals.
Hi, Sarah. You and James often say you both thought that you would quit your job before James. What made you stay? I'm a 25-year-old lawyer in the UK and I don't like my job. It is very demanding, long hours, and I can never switch my brain off. I'm in court every day and prepping cases every night. Because of this, I feel like I have no free time in the week. I struggle to sleep and I'm constantly burnt out. Even when I do spend time with family, friends, and my boyfriend, I'm constantly thinking about work while I'm with them. I'm also self-employed, so if I don't work, I don't get paid. I know you also have a very demanding job. What has kept you going? Why have you chosen to keep working in your current profession? Being a lawyer was my dream job and I'm too scared to leave. I know people/family will be disappointed if I quit. Any advice will be much appreciated.
So I guess for some context, we've mentioned this in the previous episodes, but James is self-employed and he took the leap of faith last year at some point, and we mentioned that we thought I would quit my job earlier because I've been doing social media and this podcast and working for 4.5-5 years. So it's been a long time coming. Quitting for me has always been very scary, and I think it speaks to the types of people that we are too. It's just that I'm a little bit more risk averse and James is more risk tolerant. But I think for me, there's been different priorities in different periods of my life. Obviously, I've thought about my life without a job, and I think I romanticize that a lot because there's so much that I want to do with my life and so little time, especially when you throw in a full-time job and a corporate experience. But in different periods of my life, my priorities have been so vastly different. When I was first starting my career, I was overworking myself in my corporate job because I wanted to prove myself and get promoted and I wanted to excel in my job. But that came at the expense of my personal well-being because I was also starting up my social media back then, and it was basically me working two jobs. I really thought I would quit soon after, but something else came about, which was that my parents wanted to move and I wanted to help support them in being able to afford a new home. And so my priority for that period of time was truly just to make money so that I could support my family in ways that I couldn't before. Every year, there's some challenge or something that actually comes up where I feel inclined to have stability in my life. And I think that's the core theme, which is stability has been the key driver for me not leaving my job yet. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always been the type of person that I think I could thrive in a self-driven environment. And I've been delaying it mostly because I know that some amount of stability is good. Like I've built up my savings the last couple of years, and I think that's been a big priority because I came from a background where I didn't have much to bring with me. And so being able to have a corporate job and have that stability and be able to do the things that I love and invest in my hobbies without sacrificing my sanity, financial well-being, I think that has been a priority. But for every single person who wants to quit their job or thinks about it, there's also other things that are more important than finances. So just maybe a little bit of advice is take every period of your life and look at it through a critical lens of like what matters the most to you. A lot of people would say that in your 20s, it's a very exploratory period and you have more time than you think to really experiment and try different things out. Every person's situation is different. And so for me, I've always wanted to build up my savings and build up a good foundation to put myself and my family on. But for other people, that might not necessarily be the case. And at a certain point, once you've accumulated enough stability and finances and support for yourself, there's the ability for you to take a leap of faith like James has done. And I think if what's holding you back is just the fear of disappointing other people, I personally find that as a less valid reason. I also give myself a lot of excuses sometimes that, oh, I don't want to disappoint my parents. Oh, don't want to like feel ashamed of, not having a job, like different things like that. But I think if it's something that you really think would improve your life mentally, physically, in any shape or form, you're only 25 and there's a lot of time to try different things out to really explore what you want to do with your life. And so, yeah, that's kind of like the advice I would give. But for me, there's been a lot of like external reasons holding me back from taking more
I also
risk.
wonder if this person has other like fallback options or backup things.
Mhm.
I think it could be a different situation for you because you've been doing a side thing for a long time that has some amount of like establishment already. You've already established it.
Yeah.
If she quits, like I don't know if she has something that she's been working towards. So it could be scarier in that sense. But I think, I agree with everything that you said.
There's also a saying, which is your 20s are for learning and your 30s are for earning. I think that's the saying, but I think I psych myself out a lot into thinking that I need to earn money as soon as possible. And to a certain degree, I think it's very valuable to have savings, but James could maybe speak a little bit more on what the threshold is in terms of how important money actually is.
I agree with Sarah on like you shouldn't live your life for other people or in fear of what people close to you will think or say to you. While that is true, it is also true that those pressures are very real. Not that my parents ever give me like a hard time or anything, but I'm aware that my dad can't brag about me, quote unquote, as much as he used to be able to because it's harder to describe what I do now. And I don't necessarily have like an institutional stamp of approval on me right now of what I'm doing. And it's not easily brandable to people like he is this at X company. And so like that sort of that sort of like societal standing does exist, and that's why you're like fearful of it. So I wouldn't invalidate that. However, you're writing into us for a reason, because you feel like you're probably like backed into a corner and you don't know what to do, because you can't do like choice A or choice B, because there's so many different reasons why it probably feels really overwhelming to do any of the choices, right? So you're kind of stuck in the status quo of like what you're doing, because it's a supposed dream job. But because you're going through this crisis, you are writing into us, and that tells me that something needs to change. And like, I don't know enough about the law career or field in the UK. You said you're self-employed. Maybe there are ways to like get under some other firm and like push off more of like the self-employment type of entrepreneurial work that you have to do. Maybe you leave the law field completely. I'm not really sure what that looks like, but it's really clear that something needs to change. And I think you need to give yourself grace and allow yourself, like Sarah said, to not burn out and figure out something that is more sustainable for your life. Whenever I operate out of fear that I need to get XYZ amount of things done by this date, and if I don't, I'm a failure, I usually end up burning out or like not achieving even close to that goal at all, because I get so overwhelmed that I just abandon it, and I'm like, oh, I like failed at this. But in those scenarios, if I just kind of take it into a bite-sized piece and like do something that's realistic for myself, I would make more progress at whatever thing that was. And so I think that probably applies for your life too. Even if you feel like it's a setback for you to like quit your job or, change your situation, in the long run, the more you put your well-being or consider your well-being, it will be better in the long run anyways for your career and for yourself. You should also trust yourself more, because it seems like you're in a great job now and there's a reason you got to this point. Like, you probably have some amount of work ethic. You probably have some amount of work ethic and have navigated your life in a, smart way. And so you need to kind of also realize like you're not going to let your life go completely down the drain if you leave this job. Like, you will find a way to succeed, quote unquote, whether that's like monetarily through your career or like just through happiness in your life or whatever it is. So
yeah. And if you were looking for a pep talk to stay in your career, because I'm thinking that maybe they were looking for a little bit of motivation to keep going. If you're on the reverse end where you do like truly deep down think that it's better for you to stay, there's no harm in that either, because James mentioned, you're in such a great position to have a job as a lawyer and to be freelancing. And James tells me this all the time when I kind of lament how much time I've given to the corporate world and how I've let years pass where I'm actually not pursuing my own goals and not doing the random ideas that I've had, that James kind of reassures me and telling me that none of this goes to waste. Like, all the time I've spent working corporate, I've learned skills that I'll eventually be able to apply elsewhere. I've built up my finances, so now I feel less unstable approaching things in life, and I can actually afford a lifestyle that supports me. And there's always pros and cons to things, but it's so easy to forget that when you're working a job you don't like, that there are still benefits and perks that you should appreciate. So if you are looking for that little bit of motivation, you're in a great position. It's most likely that any decision that you make for yourself will still be a good decision in the long run, whether it's to build stability and wealth or to really try your hand at something and give yourself a chance.
And then, last thing.
Long answer.
I have no idea how brutal or nice and understanding this person's parents are, and if they are actually pretty brutal or critical, like, that is an aspect of this that can be really hard to deal with, and like it's super valid to fear that or let that be inhibiting from making any sort of decision. But I do think if your parents are concerned primarily with your well-being, I do feel like they should understand decisions that you have to make for yourself in these cases, like whatever you decide. And so even if your parents don't make you feel great, I think just know that you're definitely valid for whatever decision you make. Yeah, I think you should just trust your judgment.
This next one is from an anxious blob from Miami. Throwback to anxious slab of butter from the first.
An anxious Brit.
An anxious Brit. Oh, so many anxious people and blobs this episode. They say, hello, don't really know how to start this, but I'm 20 years old and I've never had a...
Why'd you say it like that?
No, because they didn't say old, but they just said I'm 20 years. I'm 20 years and I've never had a job nor any kind of work experience, and I feel as if I'm falling behind. Leve reference, and then a man with mustache and glasses emoji. I really want to get into the workforce, even if it's just a part-time job at McDonald's or something, but nothing seems to be working out. How do I not let my unemployment get the best of me? Meaning, how do I not define my self-worth based on if I have a job or not?
I mean, it's like really hard not to base your self-worth on it, because that's literally what like society is based on, is like how much money do you make, what kind of career do you have, like all that everyone asks you, like, what do you do for work? That's one of the first
Yeah.
questions
When
people
you're in your
ask you as an
20s,
adult,
yeah.
right? And so it's like super valid to feel that way. I mean, sometimes I feel kind of embarrassed about, like, if I have to describe what I'm doing right now, it does feel a little embarrassing, even though I like voluntarily am doing this and I'm not like necessarily looking for a new job or anything. But yeah, I don't know, do you have any thoughts on
I guess first to empathize, I noticed this when we were in our 20s too, that when someone meets you for the first time, it's almost always a conversation about your career. Like when you talk to someone, you're either chatting about how your career is going, what you do for work, what your goals are for work, and maybe a little bit of like relationship talk and other things. But I just feel like there's such a culture around valuing people based on what they do, or making judgments, or kind of immediately jumping to the conclusions about who someone is based off of what they do. So I totally feel you, and that it must be so frustrating to feel like you're someone without a job, because I equally as much always tie myself to the work I do and the things that I do with my time, which are mostly work. But I guess to answer that, there's not really much you can do about other people, but there's a lot you can do about yourself, and in terms of how you see yourself and how you think about yourself. I think one thing that really took me out of that whole mindset of I'm just purely defined by my work is having something that I was really proud of. And you might think that that's like my podcast or my social media. And as much as I am very proud of that, when I started my pottery journey and started creating art that I wasn't selling or I wasn't doing just for money purposes or making it a career, I felt so much pride in being someone who did ceramics. Like I just felt like if someone had a conversation with me, the first thing that I would talk about and want to talk about is my pottery. And so I think we throw this out a lot, which is using hobbies as kind of a crutch to fix or solve other areas in our lives. But having something you're really passionate about, that you care about and would want to talk about with people, I think that really helps to re-anchor who you are and kind of like define your identity a little bit more, especially when you feel lost because other things in your life don't define you.
Yeah, so just having like a thing outside of career, like in your personal
Mhm.
life to work on.
Yeah. I also think it doesn't even have to be like a hobby. Like a lot of people anchor themselves in their families. So I know a lot of mothers, maybe willingly or unwillingly, motherhood is the defining thing for them, that they are a mom and that makes them proud, and that's something they always want to talk about. But I think in your 20s, most people are very career oriented. So it must be really hard to
This person is
navigate.
20, right?
Yeah, 20. And I feel like that's like the onset of when people start talking about career very heavily. I also think something super humbling about being in your 20s is you really have to learn how to navigate rejection too, because it's not just social rejection anymore. It's like rejection from a professional standpoint. And that might be something that is also a little bit daunting, is like feeling positive and good about yourself when you're getting rejected from jobs. I don't know if that's the situation here either, but I think there's a lot of like growth to be had with regards to the working life that is worth mentioning.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say because I don't know this person's situation, whether they're a student right now and they're just trying to look for work to make money, or they are not in school and they want to like find a career. I'm not sure exactly what this person is going for as far as jobs, but they mentioned like even doing part-time at McDonald's is something they are considering doing. And one thing that I've heard that sticks with me is that there is dignity in any job out there. You can have dignity, and there is dignity in any type of work. And I know there's like the job at McDonald's is always like the joke, or like kind of the exemplar of like what you don't want out of your career. Any sort of job, there's like you can take pride in knowing that you do a good job in whatever that is. And like obviously you should try to improve your position in life and improve your career and all that, but I think whatever you do, it's really important to remember that like you're not defined by how you make money. Your value is not just in how much revenue or value you're generating to like a company. And I think sometimes I think about how in Korea, like sometimes they call it like a prep year, and really it's like the person is out of school, they don't have a job yet, they're like taking a year to prepare to apply to jobs. So they're like doing things during that time that will position them to be able to apply for a job and be a good candidate. And I think and these are people that, you know, maybe are in their mid 20s sometimes. And I think, you know, Korea is such a competitive society and it's hard to get jobs, and that's why it's maybe it's considered a little more normal. And I know there's like a lot of pressure there to get jobs as well, like similar to here. But I don't know, I feel like if we take that kind of try to normalize that a little bit here as well, it's normal to have to like prep for things, and if it takes a little longer, that's pretty normal, and that doesn't mean you don't have value in a lot of other different ways. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in comparison and wondering, why am I not good enough for this position, or why is this person employed but I'm not. Things happen at different times for everyone, and so I think as long as you know you're putting your best foot forward, you're not falling into like a victim mentality, you're finding creative ways to try to get employed and find a job, then time will kind of guide you and take you on the path that you need to be on. But it's really hard to like rush those things. I know it's way easier to say these things than to like actually feel these things and tell yourself these things on a daily basis. There's a lot of anxiety that you have, I guess, in Miami. Right, that's what
My
they are.
anxious blob.
Yeah,
in Miami.
and
Yeah.
the heat sure doesn't help, I'm sure. Yeah, you're only 20. Like, do you have such a long career and life ahead of you? And I think as long as you're truly trying and being creative about how to like find work and improve your career and all that, it will happen for you. So you just gotta, you know, believe in the process, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes people underestimate how much, or maybe it's not that people underestimate, but I think it's not really talked about enough how hard it is to get a job sometimes. Even things like internships and like my first job, I interviewed so much. And it's not just something that you fall into. It's just requires so much work and time, and there's a lot of patience and waiting. And yeah, no one ever mentions that it can be a huge journey just to even get a job in the first place. I guess the second thing is a lot of people that write in are in their early 20s and sometimes even younger. I remember when I was in my early 20s and I was talking about, oh, I feel so old. Oh my God, I need to like get my life together. And I would have so much pressure because I wanted things at that period of my life. And people would tell me, like older people would tell me, you're so young. You have so much time to figure it out. And you are so capable and competent. You just need to give it some time. I really do think we tend to psych ourselves out by saying we're really old. And I know we say that a lot too, but it's true that you have a lot of time ahead of you. And I think also in the journey of trying to find a job and navigating that, and like James said, taking that time to really prep and prepare yourself for your next journey or chapter in your life, you also get to learn a little bit more about yourself and feel more confident in you as a person rather than aligning yourself to any career or thing that you're doing.
This one is from a therapist that needs therapy from Texas. Alliteration. Hey, simple question, but I'm curious on what y'all's take is. I can tell you're from Texas because you said what y'all's take is. As two people who were friends first, what's the best way to communicate to your friends that you might like them? How do you navigate the not wanting to lose the great friendship discussion or survive the friendship after the I like you talk? The biggest problem for me as a guy is having to deal with genuinely wanting to be their friend but having feelings. Last time this happened, the girl felt like I was only her deep and close friend in order to get with her whenever she gives me the chance, which was never true. I'd be happy for her if she dated someone that made her really happy and never held her back, but it really hurt when she felt that way about me.
What is it? How to ask your friends out, or how to...
What's the best way to tell your friend that you like them? Because in the past, they've had a scenario where they did say it, and then the girl was like, so you're only close to me because you wanted to like get with me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess I can give the girl's perspective because in college this happened with some
Guys
friends.
told you that they like you.
Yeah, I think there's an art to asking someone out. That
it's called be good looking. Just kidding. That's a joke.
That is actually a key sometimes. But I think a tasteful way to do it is to actually just feel it out, because I know a lot of the times with emotions, you just want to express it immediately. And I do that with you a lot. I just like tell you what I feel in the moment. But for someone who doesn't necessarily reciprocate the feelings yet, or you don't know if they do, I think it's better to send out vibe checks. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's maybe feeling it out by asking them to do something just one-on-one and then seeing how that hangout goes and maybe hinting at something like relationship based or whatever. I think girls are mostly usually, and assuming you're mostly interested in girls, but maybe some guys too. But I feel like most people catch hints pretty quickly and they also give hints pretty quickly. So in the past, if someone sent out a feeler for me and I'm not interested, I think I'll say something along the lines of, oh, I'm not really looking to date people right now, or like, like I'm so focused on work and I'm not really interested in seeing people. I think people pick up and give pretty fluidly in my experience, that I've really appreciated when a friend feels it out first. So,
Well, can I ask you though,
yeah.
if a guy that you're relatively close to tells you that they like you and then you don't see them as a romantic interest, what do you feel?
I think I just feel a little more awkward. If they tell me immediately and I don't reciprocate that feeling, then the next time I see them, I don't exactly know how to just pick up the relationship, the friendship.
Is that fine?
I think it dampens the friendship a little bit more though.
Yeah, but is that fine to lose a friend in that way?
Well, in this situation, it seems like the therapist who needs their therapy wants to keep these friendships,
Yeah,
right?
I know what you're saying with like the feel it out thing. Guys are notoriously bad at picking up on things though. And like there's
Really?
so many ways to explain away something, or like think, oh, maybe she only said that because of this, but like what if she was into me, or blah blah blah. What if about this time that she seemed, more playful or whatever. I think it's
Yeah.
hard to expect guys to be able to pick up on cues like that, because I don't think girls are necessarily that forward about them either, or like that obvious about them. Can I give my take as a guy?
Yeah, you can give
I
your
think
take.
it probably really sucks for girls when they get like several guys throughout their history just like telling them that they like them, and then they're like, oh, like another friendship gone because this guy
Likes me.
the first girl that a girl that he becomes close to, he thinks it has to be a romantic interest. That's a common thing. But like as a guy, I also think, what's the point of that friendship if you secretly like them and then you just keep it a secret forever, or like keep it pent up? You know what I mean? Like that's never a pure friendship to begin with. Like,
I mean, what was the point of you being my friend for 2 years before we dated?
oh, because I had a crush on you, but then I kind of wrote it off because I was like, it's probably not gonna happen.
So you're telling me you just let go of the feelings and you just
Well, we went
kept the
away for a
friendship?
summer from freshman year, and then we came back, and then I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen, because I kind of sense you probably didn't like me in that way anyways. So I was like, and we didn't cross paths as much that fall semester. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
But then for you then, what was your decision to not share or not confront me about it? Like, why did you keep it to yourself?
Because we weren't even in that close proximity anymore. Like I did an international thing over the summer. You were in international, and then what?
But here's the thing though, when you liked me, you did that thing that I was just saying, which is drop hints.
I did.
Yeah, you.
And then I think I could kind of tell you weren't like that into it necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it cooled off over the summer because
but do you
we
think
didn't talk to each other at all. We didn't see each other at all. And then fall semester, I barely saw you too. So.
But do you think it helped that I kind of gave you a signal and you caught up on it, and then you didn't confront me, and that kept our friendship going?
I think I picked up on it, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying like it's not a foolproof way is what I'm saying.
I guess.
I guess what I'm saying though, I'm just saying as a guy, if you're close to this girl, we weren't like close. I just had a crush on you.
Okay.
And we were acquainted. This person seems like he's really close with this girl, right?
Yeah.
I just think like that's not a pure friendship to begin with. So truth always kind of comes out in the end. And I don't know why prolong that. And, I just think you should just, in my opinion, I just feel like there's no easy way to do it. It's like very risky. But yeah, I don't like that's not a pure friendship to begin with if you're romantically interested in this person. And I feel like it's just worth it to test it and ask. Maybe test it out first. And then if they seem clearly not interested, then like back off, I guess. But
maybe this is a multi-step plan. The first step is to put feelers out.
Do you want to write out a decision tree for them?
Yeah, it's literally a decision tree. If yes, then continue. If no, jump to the next tree.
Yeah.
Also, our video got maxed out because we've been talking for too long. So the rest of this episode will be in audio. But first step is to give out some feelers. It's not a waste of time to just feel it out just to see, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get positive reception or maybe even neutral reception, just like maybe throw out feelers one more time. And then if no negatives yet, then maybe approach them and admit that you like them.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan of attack.
I really got you with that example I gave there about us. You didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I got out-lawyered. I need to call up Anxious Brit to help me out-lawyer you.
James says I out-lawyer him in every disagreement.
It's because sometimes I feel like I have a valid point that I bring up against her, but then somehow she says something and I'm like, I literally don't have a counterpoint. And I think I'm just too dumb to deliver my point.
No, I think you have
I think I have
points.
valid points, and then she says something, I counterpoint it, and then I'm like, well, I guess I'm just dumb then.
Anyways, I think that was the last question. Thank you guys for writing in as always. We are slowly going through the hundreds of life advice requests that come in, and maybe it should not be a rolling form because I realize it's kind of hard to get to everyone on this. But thank you all for writing in and for listening. We do have the form in the description box if you want to write into us. No guarantees when or how long it'll take for us to get to your question, but we are slowly working through them. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and leave us a Spotify review.
We just gave you like 6 tasks there, and you must do them all.
Yeah, to advance to the next level.
Yeah, which is
season 2.
Yes, exactly.
But anyways, we hope you guys have a wonderful Soju Friday, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye. Bloopers.
It's bloopers. Nom, 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 nom. Nom, 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 nom.
Welcome back to another episode of Soju with Sarah.
Anxious.
Have we had other
pickle.
Anxious ones?
No, that's a spicy pickle in a girl jar.
I think you butchered that.
Spicy girl in a pickle jar. Spicy
pickle
in a girl jar.